Good evening, New Orleans, and welcome to the premiere episode of NOLA Untold. I'm your host, Esplanade Ed, New Orleans' #1 tour guide, and I'm here to dig up the dirt, unearth the secrets, and spill the tea on the real history of New Orleans. Now, you might think you know this city, the beignets, the jazz, the Mardi Gras beads, but tonight we're peeling back the layers, revealing a chapter of NOLA's story that's often overlooked. We're talking about the remarkable achievements and complex lives of free people of color in antebellum New Orleans. Let's start with Julien Adolphe Lacroix, a name that might not ring a bell, but should. Julien Adolphe Lacroix was a free man of color born in 1808. This gentleman was a real estate mogul, a savvy businessman, and a prominent figure in Creole society. He owned dozens of properties, including rental homes and commercial buildings. He owned property on the 400 Lakeside block of charters that was destroyed when they built the Louisiana Supreme Court building in the French Quarter during the early 1900s. In the 1830s, he built the big building at 500 Frenchman Street where the Club Vassal used to be. He used to operate it as a grocery store. In the 1840s, he built and owned what is now the Royal Frenchman Hotel on 700 Frenchman Street. He also even had a plantation. Now here's where things get interesting. Lacroix, like many free people of color, also owned slaves. It's a paradox that challenges our understanding of race and class in those times. We'll explore this complex reality and the nuanced roles free people of color played in the antebellum South. But Lacroix wasn't alone. Enter Musee Rochon, a trailblazing free woman of color who defied expectations. Rochon's story is one of ambition, entrepreneurship, and breaking barriers in a segregated world. Rochon relocated to New Orleans shortly after the Haitian Revolution. In 1806, she bought her first house in New Orleans from Bernard de Marigny himself, making her one of the first property owners in the Marigny neighborhood. Over the years, she and her several children bought and sold mortgages, maintained rental properties, ran a successful grocery store chain, and operated a cattle operation on the North Shore. She owned as many as 16 properties, and her house at 1515 Pogger Street in the Marigny is still standing. Rochon also owned slaves and even rented out slaves to people. How did these individuals achieve such success in a society that sought to limit their opportunities? We'll trace their roots back to the Code Noir, a set of New Orleans laws established in 1724 by the French to relegate the lives of enslaved Africans and free people of color. The Code Noir allowed slaves the ability to purchase their freedom or receive freedom from their owners. New Orleans was the only place in the country where this was allowed, which in turn paved the way for a large, free people of color population in New Orleans pre-Civil War. While restrictive, the Code Noir allowed for a degree of social mobility for free people of color in New Orleans. We'll uncover the challenges they faced and the strategies they employed to navigate a complex and often unjust system. So, get ready to rewrite your understanding of New Orleans history. These are the stories that deserve to be told, the legacies that deserve to be celebrated. This is NOLA, Untold, and we're just scratching the surface of a rich and multifaceted past. If you want to learn more, go to my website at www.esplanadeed.com and book one of my tours. They go more in depth and they are so much fun. You can check out my Crescent City Chronicle blog on my website as well. It's all sorts of cool New Orleans history. Until next time, keep it curious, folks. And remember, the real history of New Orleans is waiting to be discovered, one untold story at a time.